Well, that's okay. Thank you for still starting the class, so we were able to start.
Always. I just forgot because I had two devotees here.
Okay.
Okay, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
You could tell we were both initiated at the same time.
yeah.
We both said Hare Krishna and thank you at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to start this discussion of this verse in the middle.
Where?
My recommendation would be to just move on to text 20 instead of trying to start this one in the middle after all of those comments that we just made.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think if you were to read text 20, you could tie it back in with text 19 also. And because you
That's a good
see,
idea.
yeah.
Okay. Nabhyam stitam hridyaधिरोप्य tasmad udanagat yorasitam nayen munihi tatonusandhaya diya manasvi swatalu mulam sanakair nayeta. Translation. The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate. He should search out the proper places with intelligence. Purport. There are 6 circles of the movement of the life air, and the intelligent bhakti yogi should search out these places with intelligence and in a meditative mood. Among these, mentioned above is the Swadhisthana chakra, or the powerhouse of the life air, and above this, just below the abdomen and navel, is the Manipuraka chakra. When upper space is further searched out in the heart, one reaches the Anahata chakra, and further up, when the life air is placed at the root of the palate, one reaches the Visuddhi chakra. Wow. Well, what's striking to me here is that what Srila Prabhupada mentions an intelligent bhakti yogi, so that this is actually a process that a bhakti yogi, uh, maybe in previous ages, like we were talking about, how actually a bhakti yogi could practice this form of yoga, and it's still considered, and he still be considered a devotee, even though he's practicing this. Um, so one thing that does, in my mind, is point to the um, what do you say, like the wide variety of devotees, the wide kind of rainbow of devotees, and what it means to be a devotee of the Lord. Because at least right now, my mind, when I think of devotee, is someone who's chanting Hare Krishna, chanting japa, who's at the temple serving the deities or serving the devotees. That this is kind of my idea of what it means to be a bhakti yogi. But if I'm understanding the verse right, there was in previous ages other methods that you can actually still be a bhakti or a bhakta, and practice devotional service, which was not necessarily chanting japa or doing different things, but actually practicing more like um, Ashtanga yoga or Hatha yoga. I think Hatha yoga is the breathing. I don't know for sure. Um, but still, like practicing that, and this is actually in the way of devotion. Um, yeah, which I mean makes the question that because my understanding is that if someone's doing these yogic processes, it's because they want powers. They want to have mystic powers. They want to have yogic powers. Kind of like we hear with the pastime of Hiranyakashipu and other different asuras, that they would do physical austerities, kind of like um, yogic positions and postures, but it was with the aim of becoming very strong and very powerful. And at least with my mind, that's what I connect doing these kinds of yogas. these is like the purpose of doing these yogas. But again, if I'm understanding it right, you can actually practice these yogas in a mood of devotion and in a mood of wanting to connect with the Lord. Which actually, I mean, that makes sense. We read about that, we hear about that, and in the different ages, there was different means and different methods of connecting with Krishna. And um, I don't know which one is which, but I know like there was deity worship, and in one age, deity worship was the prescribed method for connecting with reconnecting with Krishna, a really opulent deity worship. And then there was like the method of um, if I remember right, there yoga, like this kind of yoga like hatha or Ashtanga yoga, being a method prescribed in one of the ages. I have to go back and read, but
Yeah,
this
there
is
was
what
an
I,
issue with the severe austerities also. Yeah,
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 yeah, which maybe it's tied with this, with what we're reading. So in these ages, this that kind of yoga was the prescribed is the prescribed method. But because we're in Kali Yuga and we're not able to put our foot and our put our heel up in our rear and practice our breathing techniques and everything. So Krishna has given us the very simple method of chanting Hare
yeah.
Krishna. Yeah.
Absolutely. And at this point, we should go back and tie in with the previous verse because, as I pointed out when I asked you to move on, this is really a continuation of the previous verse, which basically said, just to sum it up, that we should be well situated in absolute realization, extinguish all material desire, and then when we're ready, we should be able to give up this material body, but we do it through a movement of energy that starts by blocking the air hole through which stool is evacuated. And then from there, energy moves up. But from the heel of one's foot, the energy starts moving up to 6 primary places, which are basically, chakras. These are energy centers. This is like a kundalini, but this is the Krishna kundalini. We're going up through the different areas in the verse that you just read. We see that we go from after once we've started from the root, we go from the navel to the heart and to the chest and to the root of the palate. And this is it's a kundalini, a raising of the energy, so for exiting the body, right?
Mhm.
Which which ideally one could do peacefully, going into the woods and meditating and practicing these yogic positions and yogic ways of thinking and ways of being, which is basically one with the universe, which is not to say that we're all God, but we are moving in energy into the universe that, that here it's very described exactly how it is we should do it. This is not, and for us, it seems like, well, gee, we don't practice that kind of technique. How would anybody other than somebody reading the Srimad Bhagavatam know that such techniques existed, such as sitting on the heel of at the root chakra, putting it on the heel, it's it's incredible the information that we get here and that was continued into this verse.
Mhm.
And so it has to be all tied together. The bhakti yoga is tied in with the breathing, with the chakras, the abdomen, the navel, the heart. This is all tied together, and here it is laid out for us clearly in a few verses of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one book that comes to mind. I think it's called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So I haven't read it, but I would
I,
assume
yeah.
you
Well,
you
I
have.
read somebody's version,
Oh, okay.
somebody's commentaries. You know how these books are,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
interpreted by somebody, but yes, I have
Yeah.
indeed read that.
Well, I would think that that this knowledge would be in that book. If it's about yoga sutras and yogic positions, I would think that what we're reading is you
Well,
could,
that we would have to verify because I have no memory of ever seeing that anywhere else before, except right in this text 19 of the second chapter of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
hmm,
But
okay. Yeah, I mean, that was just my
yeah,
first, that
and
was
I'm
the
waiting
first
for you
place.
to bring us the picture. You said you saw a picture somewhere, and a little while ago we showed a picture that we thought, or that I thought was a representation of this particular verse, which it says, yes, page 99 to 102. And this was the picture. I'll show it again because it was just Govinda and I. And there you see kind of like a chakra system going up. And actually, if you look closely, you will only see one foot of the yogi. And so we're wondering, Govinda and I, if he's indeed seated on the heel of his other foot. But there may indeed be another work of art somewhere for us to find that detail.
Hmm. Well, I know the recording started late, so I'm wondering whether to read one more or not.
I would just as soon that, maybe we continue for a few minutes talking about this, but I would just as soon and, more or less on time because I've had a long day, even though the
Yeah,
recording started late.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm sure there's a little bit more that we can say about these particular verses.
Well, I mean, my understanding when it comes to physical yoga is that it's tied in with the Paramatma, that this is the method for realizing Krishna in his localized form as Paramatma. Uh, that because I always read that it's yogis who realize Krishna as Paramatma, that they're called like yogis, and this is the yogic process. That's the yogic process for connecting with Krishna is in his form as Paramatma. So um, I'm trying to understand the bhakti yogi process, and so or I'm trying to understand how what we're reading about with the different processes of pushing life air, of sitting in certain positions, of how this connects with bhakti. And so what I'm uh, thinking, what I'm trying to use my understanding of is that the link here is with Paramatma, that when we're practicing this, or if someone is using this method, then you can get as far as realizing Krishna as Paramatma. But it makes me have the question of, but can you realize Krishna as Krishna? Or is if you follow this process, yeah, so if you follow this process of controlling your air and sitting in the proper way, can you make it all the way to Krishna, or can you only make it to Paramatma? So yeah, that's a question that I would
That's a
have.
good question. Let's put that on the list
Hmm.
for the next video conference with Guru Maharaja.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Mm.
We can
I
also
heard so.
just, yeah, we can also just, I think we started on 18, so with the recording didn't start with that. So we can just read the translation. We just get
Okay.
a recap.
And yeah, we can.
Okay. So the verses, since the verses that we covered today were verse 18, which is the transcendentalists desire to avoid everything godless, for they know that supreme situation in which everything is related with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Therefore, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexities, but worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them into his heart. And Srila Prabhupada in his purport was listing different ways that we can get distracted from remembering Krishna and focusing on Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Sometimes there's ways where we think ourselves to be God, or we think God doesn't exist at all. And these are all various perspectives and mindsets and false ideas that can lead us away from Krishna. But the devotee does not get distracted or deviate from the path. And so therefore he can help others stay on the path and come onto the path, because the devotee is clear on how to get back to Krishna. And then I was going to just read 19 as well. Or did you read 19?
Yes,
Yeah, you did.
I
Okay.
summarized it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then we read 19, and then the last one that we read for today was verse 20. And text 19 and 20, just I guess to recap one last time, we're talking about the technical process of how to position our body and how to move air within our body to prepare ourselves for our next life, and to prepare ourselves for a more progressive next life, next body, where we're moving towards that full self-realization, to that full understanding of the absolute truth.
This
So
reminds me of techniques that, maybe we study when we're younger. Maybe you studied an instrument, for instance, a piano or whatever, and you have to learn how to move one hand and how to move the other hand. Or maybe it's an organ, maybe you have to move the foot too, and you have to somehow do all of this together at the same time, because it's all absolutely necessary. You can't do one part without the rest. It's an integral part of the whole.
yeah, like like the not the continuation, there's a word, like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess the continuation of how one thing builds upon the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess the last thing too is just um really seeing the the power of air and breathing, of how it's something that, this is the second time now today I heard it from another devotee speaking, and he had brought up the significance of air and breathing. And so this is this point coming up again, because the whole point is, once you if you block that, if you block the the hole in your the the I mean, Prabhupada says the evacuation hole. It's with the whole intention to control the air inside us. And this is something that we're continually doing all day. We're breathing in, breathing out, but it's so unconscious. We're not really paying much attention to it.
Yeah.
But actually, there's the Shastra explains to us how much power there is in that air that we're continually breathing in and out. We just have no knowledge of it.
Yes. Well, I guess to elaborate on what it is that I'm trying to add to this point, is that, we're going to leave our bodies. So not only do we have to try to be well situated in absolute realization, not that we also have to extinguish all material desires. Then we have to sit in a certain posture and move our energy in a certain way. And all the time we have to be chanting Hare Krishna and thinking Hare Krishna. This becomes a very complicated thing, this leaving the body and moving on. That's what I mean about the combination of all of the things. I mean, it's not like you just pass away and it's just like a one moment event that has no connection to anything else. I mean,
Mm.
the whole process is all interconnected, like the different hands and the foot and the music making or whatever.
Mm.
It's all connected.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, luckily for us, we don't have to do that.
Well,
So we're in like in a good we're in the situation where it's not required for us, fortunately. Yeah.
we could
Yeah.
leave that particular part out, and we'll still go back to Godhead.
Yeah. As long as, I mean, that's a fortunate thing for us. As long as we have that love, we establish that love for Krishna. It doesn't matter how we leave. It's because we're thinking of him always. So we don't have to position our bodies in certain ways. We just
Mhm.
already are, have him in our mind.
Well, here we have a handbook that tells us exactly how to do it. I don't know about that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a few years left to study it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We study it back and forth.
Yeah.
Make our
Now that we
way.
know it's there, now that we know it exists, so now we can study it,
Yeah.
which is why we're here doing this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam discussion group.
Yes. So um I don't was that did you want to add anything else or we can finish there? Okay. Well, thank you all very much. For anyone who was following us or who will tune into the recording after, we hold this class or this discussion every single Monday at 8:30. Yeah, well, that could potentially change, but the invitation is out for anyone who wants to join us. Guru Maharaj, His Grace Mananatha Maharaj, has the classes every week. He hosts this for us every single week. Um, and so we ask that anyone please join us and also take advantage of our Kadacha Editions website. There's vast amount of literature there that we can read and also study, and this will help us in our bhakti. So
Yes, we also have the opportunity for another video conference of questions and answers in English. So we are looking for any of you who might be tuned in to submit questions so that we can add them to my questions and Govinda's questions and Mother Navanga's questions, and indeed have a question and answer session either next week or the following week. So please, submit your questions and take advantage of this opportunity. The last time Mananatha Maharaj will be speaking to us from Santo Domingo because soon he will be moving to India. So please continue to tune in, join us on Monday nights.
yes. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai,
jai, Srila Mananatha Maharaj ki jai.
Jai,
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
will start in time for 10 like 1 second.